My mic was muted. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, or whatever time I'm watching this. I'm using this PNG because I thought it appropriate because The Tithes, a Warhammer Plus TV show, just released a new episode and it has a female custodian in it. So it fits to use my female custodian PNG. Yippee! Haven't watched it yet. I've been planning to watch it before I stream today. Simply because I don't want to infect my brain out of the talking top. Anyway, the build, I give up on that sense. The build I'm running today is the Agni Shock Maul with high voltage and opportunist, 25% damage to infest enemies and 10% to specialists. And we have the Mach 3 Purg Flamer with Showstopper and Quick Flame. I almost just said Showstopper and Quick Flame again. I'm having a rough one right now. 8% range damage to specialists, 25% damage to infest enemies. For our talents, we have Disdain, Anoint and Blood, Purge the Unclean, Restoring Faith, Immolation Grenade, Until Death, Holy Revenant, you gotta have it, Emperor's Bullet, Shield of Contempt, Hammer of Faith, Thy Wrath Be Swift, Dance of Death, and we have Beacon of Purity, Course of Spiritual Fortitude, Banishing Light, Ecclesiarch's Call. Then we have Faithful Frenzy, Sustained Assault, Swift Certainty, Inexorable Judgment, and Inebriate's Poise. That's the build. Let's get into a game, shall we? Hey, you. Yeah, you, I'm talking to you. You know what I bet you love? Gourmet meals at a cheap price. But I know what you don't love. All the stress and hassle of cleaning. Oh my goodness, no one likes that. You gotta worry about your spice balances. It's gonna taste good. Is this chicken I just made gonna send me to the ER? Who knows? If you don't like that, you know what's got you covered? Factor's got you covered. Go down in the description, click my link. It's going to get you 50% off your first box, and an additional 20% off your next 4 orders. Skip the stress of meal prepping and dealing with flooded refrigerators and overpacked pantries, because Factor's got you covered. Chef-prepared meals to the table in less than 2 minutes. And that gives you plenty of time to get back to your day, you know? Skip the overpriced takeout trap. DoorDash, all that stuff, that's a trap. Expensive. Factor's cheaper and way more delicious, and on top of that, it's way healthier. We got keto, we got CalSmart, we got vegan, veggie, and more. Me personally, my personal favorite is the Protein Plus. I'm in the gym, I'm in the metal jungle, I'm getting the gains. Factor's got me hooked up on the protein so I don't lose out on my muscles. And when things get hectic, Factor is flexible. Change your order up every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or pause and reschedule your deliveries anytime. Factor meals eliminate the hassle of prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Simply heat and savor the good stuff. Factor's got you hooked up this summer. So go down, once again, click my link, and enjoy the meal. Alrighty, we're in. It's this map. I'm indifferent to this map. Anyway, so I watched some movies. Wow, I know, I'm crazy. Lock me up. I watched 2 movies. Oh my god, I just joined at the end. Alright, well, we'll play this one out, then I'll do another match, just so that I'm not scamming you guys on the old video game. The movies I watched 2 Korean anime movies. One was called The Summer. That one you can find on YouTube for Frizzles. That one is a girl's love. It's about 2 girls falling in love and going through life, from high school to college life to adult life, and the trials and tribulations along the way. Then I watched a movie called similar summer vibe, but Stranger by the Beach, or Stranger by the Shore. It goes by both names. And the summer... One second, I gotta turn down my audio again. Can't hear. I'll talk about the summer first. The summer, because that's the order of the movies I watched. Summer they're both very short movies, about an hour long each of both of them. So it's not, something you can just sort of like put on, not have to commit too much time to it, but they're all very enjoyable. Out of the 2, Stranger by the Beach has the objectively happier ending. Because the summer, spoiler warning, it's these characters Sue and Hee-yeon. they fall in love with each other. I won't go into like super details because the movie's very short and I highly recommend you watch it, but I will be going over plot points. They meet and they start falling in love. You know how it is. And in high school it sort of fits because it's it's like, oh, high school romance. Oh, it's so easy to like love each other. We can hang out all the time. You don't have any other responsibilities. And then they go to different colleges because Sue is very much not like a very book learning person. Sue is a very masculine like sort of individual, and something bad happens to her and sort of like crushes one of her dreams. However, she never really like reconciles with it. She just sort of like, in a very masculine way, she sort of bottles it up and decides, you know what, if I ignore it, it'll fix itself, right? Like if I ignore it, it won't be anyone else. It won't be my problem. It won't be anyone else's problems, and we're good. However, because of that, she's never able to really reconcile emotionally with Ki-yeon. I hope I'm getting her name right. In my head, it's Ki-yeon, but it might be like Yi-kyun or something, other way around. I'll check in a second. I'll reconcile when we swap games. Meanwhile, by the time she's able to sort of reconcile with her emotions, it's a little too late. And then Ki-yeon is very much like she wants to emotionally depend on Sue, but Sue once again is not a good emotional one. Sue once again is very much that person who's like, okay, well, if I can't like fix this problem with my body, and I don't mean in like a sexual way, then it's like, you know, what's the point of me doing all this, right? Sue works multiple part-time jobs while they're supporting each other, does a bunch of, like, goes to school to be a mechanic so that she can support Ki-yeon while she goes to college, and all that stuff. And I'll continue this when we swap over to the next match. Okay, and we're back. It was actually not Yi-kyun, it's Yi-gyun, or Yin, I think you could say Yin as well. And she, once again, to go into Sweet, she's a very athletic person. She does a lot of things with body. She's very much like hands-on sort of person, not a very good emotional person. She's very much like a masculine role, like figure in the movie. And yes, that is sort of me taking a dig at. What a crazy time to join. Another thing that Sui sort of has is, especially when they're younger, and even into her adult life, is sort of like a bit of, I guess it would be internalized homophobia, where it's like she doesn't really necessarily okay, minor spoiler for a plot point in the movie. Gyun, she finds essentially some other lesbians, right? She finds other people who are attracted to the same sex, and she's like, oh, I found a community, and she's telling Sue about it, and Sue's like, well, isn't it good enough if it's just us? It's like, I see, you know. I was really hoping, I did hit that barrel. Okay, I'm just gonna drop one of these, I reckon. And meanwhile, even though Sui's like, very much like, well, as long as Gyun's happy, I'm a happy type person, Gyun isn't necessarily happy, as she wants Sui to be there, just not physically for her, but also like she wants to be able to like talk and get to know, because every time she tries to talk about Sui changes the subject to talking about Yin. Like there's literally a scene in the movie where it's like, oh, you know, how's your school, you know, what do you want to do? And then like Sui intimately says, oh, how's your schoolwork going? It's like, well, I guess we'll never know. And that's sort of a common theme through the movie, and I think a way that they show that in the movie is you almost never see Yoon's phone ringing. However, you see Sui's phone ringing a lot as Yoon calls Sui. And it's not like, once again, Sui isn't like, oh, doesn't actually love Yoon. In fact, Sui loves Yoon to the very end. I gotta get out of this corner. This corner is bad vibes, broski. Uh-oh. Alright, we're good. Alright, we're good. Yeah, I'm just gonna walk through it. And as they find this community, and it's just sort of like, and like Yoon does sort of like put up with a lot of that stuff from Sweet, because it's like she doesn't, because once again, this is like, you know, without Sweet, you know, who else is there? It's because like love is very scary. I think a lot of people are scared to dip back into love, and like Yoon really wants to make it work with Sweet, and she's like still loves Sweet. Then, as time sort of goes on, it's like once again they struggle and they move, like go from, you know, high school to college and stuff, and to their adult lives. It's once again they just don't have time for each other, right? Like a lot of the time, because Sweet's working so many jobs, and also has school, and then Yoon also has school and her jobs, and it's like, yeah, they can meet up at the end of the day, but you know, they have no time to go on dates and stuff. And Yoon really wants to go on dates. She wants to connect with Sweet, but unfortunately, it just sort of doesn't happen. And as they go into their adult life, Yoon meets this other person named Yunji, I think. I might be overpronouncing some of these names, so please do forgive me. I remember being like Yunji. And I'm not gonna say, oh, Yoon cheats on Sweet. She never really like physically does. Although I'm so upset. Sweet does sort of call it an emotional affair, because she falls in love with him. She falls for another girl. Now the girl doesn't necessarily have any repercussions feelings for that we can see, or maybe doesn't even notice it, because that sort of thing only lasts for a few weeks, and only, you know, whenever they like, it like lasts 4 months, but they only meet a few times in those 4 months, and they're not like, they're just hanging out. They're not like, you know, once again, I don't think Yoonji actually like has repercussions feelings for Yoon. But the movie does end with Yoon and them sort of breaking up, but it's not like a sad ending necessarily. It's a bit of what would the term be? It's a melancholic ending. What are you doing, bot? And they do have sort of discussions about, like, they haven't talked about their breakup, but unfortunately Sweet's only able to reconcile, like talk about herself or her, and like how she feels, how she's feeling, and sort of when it's too little too late for their relationship. But it does sort of end in like, spoiler for the ending, I guess. Not that I haven't been talking spoilers this whole time. It does end where, like, yeah, they did split up. And the point of view is hindsight. But it's never like, oh, our relationship was bad. Like, yes, there was bad times, it ended sort of rough, but it was still lovely memories. It was still like a lovely experience, and, you know, wouldn't have it any of that and all that. But it ends with Yoon getting on a bus, I presume, to go home. Which is like, getting on a bus or any sort of like airplane or stuff like that is obviously just very a lot of times it's like literal symbolism for moving on, right? You're transitioning from one point in your life to another, and you're like moving on. However, it's definitely not like thinking of like, oh, she's done with Sweet, she'll never want to see her again, she'll never see her again. It's definitely a vibe of like, doesn't say it explicitly, but it sort of leaves the ending up in the air. Like, yeah, they did split up, and maybe they'll really never get together. Maybe they'll end up as friends. Maybe they won't. Or maybe they'll find each other a couple years when they're both grown, matured a bit, able to be who they want to be. Because remember, these are fresh out of college kids, basically. So, like, you know the emotional responsibility of 20-year-olds. Or I guess like 23 at the time. It's definitely like, yeah, you could, maybe they'll just be friends, maybe they won't. But they also, like, you know, if it revealed that they met up in a few years, got married, and lived happily ever after, it's not like I'd be very surprised. I need someone to, like, shoot these, like, gunners up on the freaking terrace. I feel like I'm JFK right now. Back into the left. God damn it. Alright. So yeah, very good film. Highly recommend it. I should also mention that Yunji's a lot older than Yun, so it's like, once again, of like that thing of like, okay, I found someone who's into girls like me and is, you know, like caring and more mature, so it's like you can easily sort of like trick yourself into falling in love with it. Very good film, very sort of like sad, not melodramatic, melancholic ending. So if you don't, you know, if you like that kind of stuff, it's for you. And then the next movie I watched, which ends on a much happier note, is Stranger. I knew I was gonna. It's good to dodge. I gotta pull out my flamer. Was Stranger by the Shore. Now that one is following the two boys, Shun and Mio, and their relationship and their trials and tribulations of love. Sort of like starts off there. You meet this character Shun. We know he's a writer. You know that he's sort of living on an island at someone's. I don't know what they're calling, if they have a thing in Japan of what they're called, but essentially it's like living in an apartment on an island, right? Where he's renting out a room to like a landlord that's also like lives there, and that like they sort of like cook together and stuff along with like another couple. There's a sort of the voice of reason character is this other character who's in a relationship with a woman, a lesbian. So there's two gay couples in this movie, which is double the gay. But we meet Shun and Mio. Mio is one sort of weird bit about this is that Shun and Mio meet when Shun's like 22 or 23 or something, and Mio is a 17-year-old. Now, it's a bit weird, but it's not like they hook up or do anything like that. They just meet then and they hang out and they're like friends. Well, not even like friends, just Shun invites Mio in to eat because Mio's mom died, and it's like he just wants to make sure that Mio's like doing good. Then, after like sort of a plot synopsis, Mio leaves the island to go to mainland to essentially, I think, go to school. Essentially, I go to school he can live in because he's obviously 17 years old and his mom is dead and he has no one to live with, so he needs to do something. Then he returns 3 years later to joining as a tenant on the island because it's like the lodge is also like a restaurant and like has the people living there also staff it. They never really go into it. It's sort of just like you get the vibe of like it's a place where they live but also where you can work. And then it turns out this tenant is Mio, and Mio, quite literally 20 years old, fully adult, confesses to Shun. It's like, hey Shun, I like you, I've thought about it, and I like you, and I'm here to not only live here, but I'm also here to like deal with that. Now Shun has what the youth might refer to as internalized homophobia, due to some trauma he has from not only his parents, but also like from his school life of students being homophobic. And that sort of becomes a bit of the driving factor for a good first half of the movie. Because even like Shun will like say really mean and insensitive things like, oh, why don't you just live normally and get a girlfriend, and wouldn't that be so much better for you? And it's like, it's not that Shun's like ashamed of himself for being gay, it's just he doesn't want to I guess with like fuck over Mio with it or something. I don't know like what the best description of that would be. Yeah, I guess like, or like burden Mio with homosexuality. But eventually they do have a moment where it's like, okay, well, that's not gonna, like, Mio's essentially like, hey buddy, this shit where you're being like, oh, I should just find a girlfriend, that shit's not gonna work. In fact, it's like pissing me off. And Shin is never just comes to his senses. They smoochums, smoochums. Hello, baby. I'm just gonna bust this bad boy out. I wish I had my flame grenades. And then there's some like other sort of family drama as we learn that Shin's dad is sick and is like really, really sick, and it's like that vibe of like, well, you gotta go back and meet him, but Shin's like, I don't want to fucking meet that guy, fuck that guy. Or like, go see that guy, fuck that guy. And Mio's like, broski, you gotta do it. Like, I can never see my mom again. Do you really want to, even if you have bad memories, do you never want to see your dad again? Like, you know, once they're gone, you can't see him again. And there's some other plot points I won't get into, just to avoid spoilers. But eventually and one of the points of the movie is that Mio and Shin want to have sex, but Shin is once again dealing with that internalized homophobia, like, well, you know, like, do you really want to? Isn't it gross for you or something? And Mio's like, bro, chill. And they do shaboing, and it's like, yes! It was my King the Conqueror cheering in the crowd moment. And it's once again, as I said, this movie ends on a much happier note with Mio and Shin just going to see his dad together. And it's very cute, very fun. Great soundtrack for both movies, great OSTs, great voice acting. Although I will say, Mio's voice was like bothering me, not because it was bad, because it sounded so familiar. I looked it up. He voiced a character from Kengan Asura. It's like, what was, I can't remember it's like Kenji, I think, from Kengan Asura. Might not be his name. Starts with a K, something like that. But the character, Mio, is very much like a soft boy, like cutie patootie type vibe. The character that a voice actor voices in Kengan Asura is like a super villain, a little bit like a straight up like unhinged murderer type vibe. And he also voices Inosuke, and I was like, oh my god, this voice actor really does it all. If you don't know Inosuke from Demon Slayer, imagine like full goblin mode, just like, you know, type vibe. Like, Jesus. Just very funny to hear this voice coming out of this soft boy. I will say one thing I like about one of my favorite scenes in the movie is after they're done shaboinging, they're having having some snacks and stuff. You know, as you do, is they're sort of like sitting on their porch, just looking at the morning or the night. I don't really know the time. It was dark. I think it was the evening. Neil's like, yeah, I also like girls. And I just want to let you know, Shin, it's not weird for me to like a boy. I like girls, but I fell in love with Shin. It's not weird to fall in love with a boy. I was like, yes, good movie. 10 out of 10. We love that. And then there's another movie coming out. I can't remember the name. It's a Thai movie, Thai anime film. That's or it might be show. Could be. I think it's a film. That's about two girls falling in love. That's gonna be. I'm very excited to see that. Assuming I can find it again, because I don't remember the name. But also, just before this game, I watched the Minecraft trailer, and what can I say? It looks like absolute cinema. I'm ready for it. I love movies. Yippee! What else? Oh, I also have been watching this anime called No Longer Allowed in Another World. It's an isekai. It's a comedy isekai. And it's so funny, because the main character, I don't think we ever hear his name. He just call him Sensei. He's an author. The anime starts off with him trying to commit double suicide with this girl. That he's like, I assume they're like in love. Because it's like, the vibe is like, this is like a tragic love story or something. Oh my lordy. The flames of disaster. But it's just sort of that thing where he wants to die. and he's an author, so he's like that edgy type of vibe. And before they can commit their double suicide, they're both hit by a truck. Which is like, oh, boom, it works out perfect. One of them gets isekai, the guy gets isekai. It's very funny, the priest lady, that, you know, the classic, like, lady, it's like, oh, hero, welcome to blah, 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 is here. It's like, oh, yeah, when the dude was like, what the hell, I wanted to die and I get sent to another world. Because at first he's like, oh, so this is where you go when you die. It's very Western. And then ladies, oh, no, you're not dead. You've been sent to another world. And he's like, what the hell, man? And since he was like upset about it, it's like, yeah, you were hit by a truck, weren't you? The truck of worldly sending only goes to those that were in pain in life. It's like, oh, but you interrupted the happiest moment of my life, my double suicide. And that's a whole funny bit as the priest is like, huh? And then right in front of her, he takes a bunch of like pills to like try to OD. And then she casts detoxify on him, and he's like, what the fuck? It's a whole, like, she, like, flounders over himself, this whole funny bit. And you know the classic isekai of, oh, you go to another world and you get an OP skill, right? They explain that sort of, like, gimmick. I'm gonna use this to augment the bulwarks. It sucks I might not have grenades going in the boss fight, but honestly, bulwarks are annoying enough. And they check his OP otherworldly skill. They literally call it overpowered skill. It's like, and once again, this is a comedy. It's you know, it's not like it's trying to like be the tropes to 100, not like challenge anything. And like he doesn't have one, and he's just constantly, he has 1 HP and is constantly under the poison status effect. It's just someone being constantly under the poison status effect at 1 HP is so funny, because like typically in a lot of games poison is not lethal, right? It drops you to 1 HP and nothing or more. At least in a lot of the games I play. It's just very funny. And like I mean, I guess the main character is a bit hot, but he's a bit hot in the greasy, like sad, like depressed author kind of way. He's not like your typical anime boy, which is fun. And he's got like a really like bit of a creepy voice, but it's not like creepy in like the anime pervert. It's creepy in like, oh, this man is essentially like it's like this man is like a step away from being a corpse, which I know is like, you know, every human, I guess, in a way, is a step away from being a corpse. I mean, you know what I'm saying. It's very funny. Highly recommend. It's called No Longer Allowed in Another World. It's a good fun. It's a little, like, there's a little bit ecchi elements, but honestly, it's not even like, it's just the women are thick. There's no, like, unnecessary boob groping. Not that there's any necessary boob groping, usually, unless it's, like, a love scene, sexual. So not like that, which is nice. There's no, like, random, like, there's no, like, scene where, like, the girls are, like, wrapped up in moaning, which is great. Because that, I hate that trope. I hate that trend. It's just not funny. Like, I came here to laugh, not to goon. It's very funny, very funny. And then obviously I'm watching more of Wistaria 1 Sword. Which is really, once again, I enjoy it really good. But I found a very surprising thing. Like, wow, a yaoi love interest in my shonen battle manga? Amazing. Sort of played to, like, a weird gimmick, but because Will is... I don't mean like weird gimmick, like weird bad. It's like, it's a bit, it feels a bit weird because it's like, Will is a dumbass and not catching on like brother. How are you not catching on, man? Stand in my fire, would you? Honestly, the flamer does enough damage to shields that you can kind of just hold it down. Yeah, stand in the flames. Through the fire and the flames will carry on. Oh, nice. The veteran has survived us, so or field improv, so it cures the corruption. I knew it was going to hit me, but I was really hoping it... Uh-oh. Say it doesn't end like this. Okay. Okay. I think I'm obtainable. Ah, no, I'm not. The bot might get the res off. Nice. That was... Oh, we actually killed the boss. That was almost the most heartbreaking ending I've ever seen. Like, not only me getting hit by a net, but the person trying to save me getting hit by a net. And then a third person getting knocked. That was almost bad, but we made it. But yeah, I love movies. Yippee! And I'm a sucker for a romance. Anyway, let's see what the Emperor granted us. Yep. 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 Alright, there we are. Nice. Mark whatever that is in for again. Well, if you made this far in the video, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, or don't. I am not your mother, but you better brush your teeth. Use my factor code. Please, it gets me money. Have a good one. Bye-bye.